we did this right after Chinese Bookie, didn't we?
That's right. Well, Chinese Bookie, because it became one of well, after Husbands, I guess, my fondest project. And the fact that it wasn't accepted by the critics really hurt. And going back to work with John with such enthusiasm and optimism, he was indomitable. This guy just burrowed ahead. Nobody could conquer him. You never knew. I've never saw him moan or complain.
Never.
So the fact that the Chinese Bookie hadn't done well financially, he still put up his own money to do opening night.
Yep.
Didn't stop him.
What are you thinking about?
Are you home?
Am I home?
Oh, God.
What do you mean, am I home?
Well, I remember the first day of shooting, for instance. And I was really, came down to Pasadena, right?
Yeah.
I thought it would be a theater the size of the Morosco or the Booth or the Music Box. No, it seemed like Radio City Music Hall.
Right.
3,000 people get visited. It's unbelievable. I said, now, wait a minute. Now, he's going to have to fill this with extras, right? And they showed up. Real people, not extras.
Put a little ad.
Put a little ad
in the Pasadena paper,
right.
and said anybody who has.
They not only showed, they show up in black tie and long, and then the reaction to the material.
Oh,
you could never get that from real professional extras.
They were so wonderful.
Terrific.
It's hard to cover it up.
Congratulations.
It's hard to cover it up. It is very hard to cover it up. My heart.
But you remember, John said, we can't, because you have to change and set up, and we're used to it in the film business, but it's pretty boring to wait for 45 minutes while the thing. And John said, we can't expect them just to sit there.
He'd go out and entertain them.
Go out and entertain them. He said, go out and do that slow motion boxing you do. I said, Johnny, I have heels this high, I have a tight black dress, a hat.
Yeah.
He said, go on, I do it. That doesn't matter, they'll understand. And so I did. And then they had, all the other guys, I think it was Draper, went out and sang.
Right.
And Finnegan
Right.
went out and sang, and then they told stories just to fill up that thing. And they just sat there so nicely, so appreciative.
And then, of course, there's Joan Blondell and Paul Stewart and these people who never worked in this fashion before. So Joan Blondell just didn't know where the camera would be, because he's following her with the handheld. She said, is he going to follow me to the bathroom? Is he going to follow me all over with that thing? What is that thing?
What is it? She said, I can't tell whether anyone's acting or not, or they're just talking.
Are they acting? Are they not? Are we on a break? She's so sweet.
She was darling.
So Joan played it, and she was lovely. After she found out what she was supposed to do, she was lovely. And she was supposed to do nothing.
Yeah, just
be
relax.
herself.
And she was, I don't know if the word endearing is good enough for her.
She got a Golden Globe nomination.
Yeah,
Are you
she
kidding me? It's wonderful.
This is my wife. She's a princess. See my kids? I got a lot of kids.
John Toole, do you remember the big,
played,
handsome guy that plays in the play within the play? Yes,
yeah.
and he comes in, and he was a teamster.
I know. He wasn't an actor.
He wasn't an actor.
John rehearsed them more than he rehearsed us.
He certainly did. He just saw him as a great big guy. He's just exactly right. And somehow he talked him into doing it. I imagine he must have been terrified to walk on that stage and see 3,000 or 4,000 people sitting there. And yet...
He was good.
He was wonderful.
Yes, he was.
One day...
I'm sorry.
He was holding me. I can't remember, some action in the play. And John got talking to him. And talking to him and talking. And they were talking and talking. And he was a big guy. He was a strong guy. And I thought, I think I should get down. And finally... John said, it was about 4 minutes he was standing there with it. If I said, oh, put it down. And he did, he was so funny. He wrote such a nice letter after John died, and he said that it had been the high point of his life, and that if there's anything he could do for any of us, he would.
So sweet.
He was sweet.
Pumping coffee into it, black coffee.
Your drunk scenes are terrific.
I
You
love
did another one in a mini in Moscow. It said, you know who talked about that with me? Audrey Hepburn.
Really?
She thought that was a wonderful scene where you're falling down the stairs. You know how beautifully you did that, how, like a dancer. She said, and yeah, and then you did like a dancer. It was wonderful, wonderful. And I have to make you,
And you have to make-
make you. But we
And my face
never
is
rehearsed
like-
it.
I know. Putting that makeup on,
Oh,
which is
that was it.
impossible when someone's
And we
doing
did it in
that.
one, you know. I mean, the
once.
first time was good. That's right. He covered it a little bit with the handheld, but the first time out, we struck gold. It was never better. But only John could get away with that.
Yeah.
An actress that drunk, you'd put her in the hospital. You know, he put you on stage.
I've acted with actresses that drunk.
And notice that you were a teetotaler, more or less.
Well, compared to you guys,
You're right. God, the booze we consumed.
John was very interesting in the way he wrote the men movies and the women movies as people broke them up. And truly they were. I can understand how he knew about the guys. But really, I never was quite sure how he knew so much about women. And faces and stuff, when those older women were acting with Seymour and he could just make all their dreams, you could see what they were as younger people and what they're striving for. And
That kiss in Faces, for instance, where Seymour kisses the older lady, was so beautiful.
beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful. You never saw that in film.
In all of his movies, actually, he shows a great deal of compassion and understanding.
He liked women.
I'm not ready to play grandmothers yet. You know, you're very clever. If I'm good at this part, my career is severely limited.
Limited to what?
Once you're convincing in a part, the audience accepts you as that.
As what?
As old, that's what old.
Well, was it really, the fear of aging the main issue in her?
I personally think she just didn't want to be in a lousy show. The writer, Joan Blondell, she was the one who was really age conscious. And she was pushing it and pushing it.
How old are you?
Well, if you can't say your age, then you can't accept my play.
My character was also getting old and older and not able to play the young part. She couldn't, so she could see the handwriting on the wall.
This girl who haunts you, who keeps showing up, is part of her existence in your imagination, or is she real? Does she really get killed out there, or is it a metaphor for something else?
I thought that it was my imagination.
Right.
I'm the one that saw her get killed.
Yeah.
I'm the one that said, "Stop the car."
Right.
There was a girl, and then I'm the one who called the police. And then I'm the one that was there when I got rid of her at the end. But nobody else really seemed to really see her.
What the hell are you doing?
If I could rid myself of you.
Are you going over your lines?
I definitely thought that it was
In your imagination. That's what I thought. What was the name of that girl?
Laura
She
Johnson.
was good.
Yeah, she was in Harry Master George's.
Very
Place.
pretty girl.
The music.
Beautiful girl and very talented. Harry came up with, he had a great acting class out here, and he was a friend of John's. They'd gone to school together. So he called and he said, "You should really try this girl out because she's wonderful." And she was.
Yes, she was.
I'm 17 years old. I like sex. I like to turn people on. And that's what the theater is. It's sex.
People say that John is so realistic, and that young girl of my imagination, and it was so surreal that it was hard to understand. It did seem surreal, but we actors know that is realistic, because actors use anything they can to get to where their character has to be, and sometimes they make up amazing things, or they do amazing things that sane people wouldn't do. And she did. Myrtle did need her. And she needed the youth, her youth.
I want youth. super strength, dream building, happiness, fun, emotion.
Babe.
Practically anything.
Babe.
No.
I love you.
No.
I love you.
Hey, no.
I am Superman!
Hey.
I realized how dangerous it is to try to recapture what you had when you were young. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not right. It's not in rhythm with the world. And so I thought that that was a wonderfully conceived idea by John.
Yeah. John talked about aging a great deal during the shooting of this picture.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have been talking about himself, too.
I think maybe.
Yeah.
When I look at my face in the mirror when I'm shaving in the morning, you know what I see? I can see it then in my face. It's hard to cover it up. There's something deeply cynical about my face.
And then he said that funny line. He said, we're not the same. He said, there's something wrong with a smile. I've thought of that often because there is something wrong with a smile. And he said, we're not us. He said, you think someone come and get us at night and steal us in our sleep? And it's something that I'm sure resonates with anybody who is not 25.
There's someone posing here as us, and you're right. There is something definitely wrong with your smile.
And, you know, and we're doing that thing back and forth. And he said, okay, I have a problem. And how do I solve this? I'm getting old.
I'm getting older. What do we do about that?
And it really hit me on stage.
I do want to be your friend.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be your friend.
It was not the script.
No.
We were doing it there on stage for the first time while they were shooting.
Yeah.
Terrific. The point is, it didn't seem loosey-goosey, improvised. It seemed structured.
When was I ever funny?
I heard you tell one stinking joke and you never laugh at anyone else.
I used to be
Never.
funny.
Never.
I used to be very funny.
When?
When I was a kid.
I felt a little jealous because you'd come in the next day and have this remarkable relationship with each other, joking around on stage, changing the script. Part of it is improvising the material to loosen it up. And I always wondered, how did you guys do that? How did you do that?
We didn't.
Did you do it at night?
No, we didn't. We talked about what we'd shot during the day.
Yeah.
And things that we got a special kick out of. But I didn't know any more than you did about going into the next day.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Never did on anything. John would say something, I'd answer.
Want to see something wonderful?
Yes.
And he'd have a certain attitude, and I'd have an attitude back. And,
What you call
and
good actors.
The place where he starts to go like this, and I and like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was coming.
The shaking of the hands?
Yeah. Like that. And then they said, put your leg out.
Could you raise your right leg? The other way, please? No. The other way, please.
And that was the first time you had heard those lines?
Absolutely.
Remarkable, because really, I'm not kidding. It seemed like it was rehearsed at home. I thought, oh, those guys, that's what they do. They go home and they rehearse.
I guess a lot of